From a Ballon d'Or contender,
in my opinion, he deserved to win the Golden Ball,
to falling on the floor.
Why Vinícius Júnior fell off, and why his prime felt unstoppable. There was a time when every time Vinícius Júnior touched the ball, the stadium leaned forward. Not because something might happen, but because something always did.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
This is the story of that version of Vinícius. The one who terrified fullbacks, decided Champions League nights, and looked like football's next global superstar. And it's also the story of what happened after. Not a fall caused by laziness, not by a lack of talent, but by pressure, expectation, and a game that started to play against him.
Done with Vinícius Júnior. I'm done.
Big goals one moment.
Oh, yes!
Crash out the next.
We're sitting here talking about his attitude, his behavior. Again.
What the hell happened to Vinny?
The chaos that became a weapon. When Vinícius Júnior arrived at Real Madrid, he wasn't polished. He was chaos, raw pace, wild dribbles, missed chances, bad decisions. But inside that chaos was something defenders fear more than skill: unpredictability. Most young players are taught to slow down. Vinícius refused. And then, suddenly, it clicked. The prime. When Vinícius took over Europe. The turning point wasn't just improvement, it was belief. Under Carlo Ancelotti, Vinícius stopped playing like a kid trying to prove himself. He played like a man who knew he belonged. His movement sharpened, his finishing improved, his decision-making became ruthless. And when Benzema hit his own legendary form, Vinícius became the perfect storm. Defenders had two options: step out to stop Benzema and leave Vinícius space. Double Vinícius and let Benzema kill you. Either way, Real Madrid won that Champions League run. This is where his prime became immortal. Big game after big game, Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool. Vinícius didn't just participate, he decided. And then came Paris. Champions League final. One chance, one moment.
Vinícius Júnior! The Stade de France erupts with white delight, and Vinícius Júnior
Vinícius Júnior scored the winning goal in a Champions League final for Real Madrid. That night, he wasn't just a talent, he was a star.
Madrid thought they'd bought the best player in the world when they already had the best player in the world. Enjoy your Ballon d'Or, Vinny.
Ballon d'Or! Ballon d'Or! Ballon d'Or! Vinícius has just taken the Ballon d'Or.
His reputation exploded. One of the most dangerous wingers in world football, a Ballon d'Or conversation name, the face of Real Madrid's new generation. At that moment, it felt inevitable, like the future belonged to him. Then the game changed. Here's the part fans don't talk about enough. Vinícius didn't suddenly become worse. The world simply started preparing for him. Fullbacks stopped defending him one-on-one. He faced constant double teams, deeper defensive blocks, tactical fouls every few minutes. Referees allowed more contact. Opponents tested his patience. And slowly, the chaos that once helped him began to trap him. The mental battle nobody sees. Vinícius doesn't just play football, he feels football. Every foul, every insult, every unfair call. And over time, frustration crept in. Instead of exploding past defenders, he argued. Instead of resetting after missed chances, he forced plays. The joy started leaking out, and when a player like Vinícius loses joy, even a little, the difference is visible. Expectation is a silent enemy. Here's the harsh truth about playing at Real Madrid. Once you deliver greatness, greatness becomes the minimum. Fans stopped praising his runs. They demanded goals. Every quiet game became, "What's wrong with Vinícius?" But football doesn't work like that. Defenders adjust, teams evolve, moments pass. And suddenly Vinícius wasn't the hunter anymore. He was the target. Did he really fall off? This is the question that matters. Did Vinícius lose his ability? Or did the game simply demand a new version of him? Because the speed is still there. The dribbling is still there. The courage is still there. What's missing isn't talent, it's rhythm, confidence, and freedom. The truth about primes. Primes aren't permanent. They're moments when everything aligns. Tactics, confidence, mental clarity, team chemistry. Vinícius reached his early, and when it faded, it didn't mean the story ended. It just meant the next chapter would be harder. The ending isn't written yet. Football loves simple narratives. Rise, peak, fall. But real careers don't work like that. Vinícius Júnior is still young, still dangerous, still capable of defining nights. And maybe, just maybe, his best version hasn't been lost. It's waiting for the moment when the noise fades and the joy returns. Because when Vinícius plays free, football remembers, and so do defenders. Why Mbappé and Vinícius didn't click, and why Benzema and Vinícius worked under Ancelotti. There's a belief in football that talent always finds a way. Put two superstars together and magic should be automatic. So when Kylian Mbappé and Vinícius Júnior were imagined in the same team, the idea felt unfair. Two of the fastest players in the world, two left-sided demons, two game changers. On paper, it looked unstoppable, but football isn't played on paper. And this is the story of why Mbappé and Vinícius never truly clicked, and why Benzema and Vinícius became one of the most natural partnerships in modern football. The Benzema and Vinícius blueprint. To understand why Mbappé and Vinícius struggled, you first have to understand why Benzema and Vinícius worked so perfectly. Karim Benzema was never just a striker. He was a connector. He dropped deep. He drifted wide. Ancelotti, the roles were crystal clear. Benzema was the brain, Vinícius was the blade. When Vinícius sprinted down the left, Benzema didn't run into the same space. He moved away, dragging defenders, opening lanes, letting Vinícius attack in isolation. That freedom unlocked Vinícius' prime. Trust over ego. One of the most underrated parts of that partnership was trust. Benzema trusted Vinícius to make mistakes. If Vinícius missed a chance, the ball still came back. If a dribble failed, Benzema didn't show frustration. That psychological safety mattered. It allowed Vinícius to play fearless football, and fearless Vinícius was devastating. The results spoke loudly under Ancelotti. That duo delivered. And that's why it lasted. Enter Mbappé, a different star. Now enter Kylian Mbappé, one of the greatest talents of his generation, but also a player with very specific needs. Mbappé doesn't just prefer the left side, he owns it. He needs space to run into. He needs the attack built around his movements. And suddenly there was a problem, because Vinícius needs the exact same thing. Same space, same time. Unlike Benzema, Mbappé doesn't naturally move away from Vinícius' zone, he attacks it. Both players want the left channel, isolation against a fullback, freedom to cut inside. Instead of complementing each other, their movements began to collide. Not because of selfishness, but because of instinct. Ancelotti's dilemma. Carlo Ancelotti thrives on balance. He doesn't force systems to fit players, he lets players express themselves within structure. With Benzema and Vinícius, that balance came naturally. With Mbappé and Vinícius, it didn't. Someone had to sacrifice, and neither player is at their best when sacrificing space. Why Xabi Alonso didn't fix it. Either Xabi Alonso is tactically brilliant, but even brilliance has limits when the room isn't aligned. His football demands discipline, hierarchy, and sacrifice. Wide players must track. Central lanes must be respected. Ego has to sit below structure. That's where the tension began. Because Mbappé doesn't just bring goals, he brings gravity. Everything bends toward him. Training intensity, tactical meetings, even silence in the dressing room. Instead of the system shaping the stars began shaping the system. And for a coach like Xabi, that's a breaking point. There were whispers that the project stopped being his, that certain demands outweighed collective balance, that Vinícius was asked to adapt while Mbappé was protected. And when discipline is uneven, belief disappears. The moment that symbolized it all came off the pitch. After losing the cup final to Barcelona, tradition called for respect, a guard of honor. But pride intervened, refusal. What should have been humility became defiance. Inside the club, it wasn't just about losing a final, it was about values. For Xabi Alonso, football is identity. How you win, how you lose, how you represent the badge. When ego overrides those principles, the project fractures. So the system didn't fail because of tactics. It failed because alignment was lost. And sometimes the most disciplined coaches don't leave because they can't fix the football. They leave because they refuse to compromise who they are. The invisible loss, Vinícius's freedom. The biggest casualty of this partnership wasn't tactics, it was Vinícius's joy. With Benzema, Vinícius played without thinking. With Mbappé, he had to calculate. Where will Mbappé run? Should I hold the width? Talent. This wasn't a failure of ability, it was a failure of fit. Football history is full of superstar pairings that didn't work.